Alright, hey, what's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and we actually have some new cards announced. So the final cards from Dawn of Majesty, as well as some V-Jump promos that we don't really have the effects of at the moment, but we can still kind of draw some conclusions from either their artwork or their names. So the first one, obviously, as you can tell, is a Harpy Dragon, but this time Fearsome Fire Blast. And the other Harpy's Dragons or whatever, they weren't that great. You know, there was more than one. There was the Harpy's Dragon, the original one. And then Harpy's Pet Phantasmal Dragon was, I believe, the rank 4. And then Harpy's Pet Baby Dragon was another one. I forgot if it was like a level 4, a big one that had to be like special summoned if you control like Harpy Lady Sisters. I don't know, they always have like weird effects and weird summoning conditions. But this one, Fearsome Fire Blast, we're in 2021, so I feel like Harpies deserve some good support for once. Meaning that if this card is actually a card with a good effect, it might see play in Harpies because Channeler allows you to summon any Harpy monster. It's not just a Harpy Lady, so that was the way people were actually making Draco Sack just with Channeler back in the days. They would go normal Channeler, discard like a Harpy's card, and then summon Harpy's Pet Dragon. Channeler becomes level 7 while you control a Harpy's Pet Dragon, and then you can make whatever, Draco Sack, Big Eye. And Draco Sack is actually a 1-card Needle Fiber, in case you didn't know, because it summons 2 level 3 tokens, and then you can make Cherubini. Cherubini is a 1-card Needle Fiber because you can send like, I don't know, Carboneton, and then summon like a tuner from your deck. You can do stuff, okay? Or graph into Rubik, but you're probably not gonna play like Needle Fiber Turbo in your Harpy's deck. But anyways, moving forward, we actually have some manga cards, which, you know, we don't know much about them, but again, we can kind of draw some small, very small conclusions. So this guy actually did a bit of research. Both of these characters, they are not actually anime characters at all. They're from Yu-Gi-Oh! R or something like that. I've never heard of that. I guess that must be the manga or something. And Leire, the God of Archery, again, is a card that I didn't even know existed in the manga. I know some of the manga cards, like I know for a fact that Cyber Emergency and Born from Draconis were actually manga cards with completely different effects. Well, Born from Draconis, to a certain extent, it kind of did have, it did at least keep that special summoning effect, but Cyber Emergency, I think it has absolutely nothing to do. And then Puppet Queen, maybe Puppet could actually become a new archetype because, and by the way, don't confuse it with Gimmick Puppet. I'm talking about a completely different thing because there was a manga character who actually did play a puppet related deck, and then obviously this is the only one that everybody knows because he's from the anime and from the original anime. That is Bandit Keith with his Dark Machine cards, and we already saw some old Dark Machine cards, you know, getting support because of Bandit Keith, meaning that this could actually be potentially, to a certain extent, maybe kind of like a tech card or semi-staple in those Dark Machine decks, which could be very, very nice. They even have like a field spell. I think the artwork is like all of the Bandit Keith monsters, which is pretty funny. And his theme was actually relying on luck to win, so yeah. Anyways, now let's get into the real part of the video. So the remaining cards from Dawn of Majesty, Lyrilusk support, equipped toys, searching of many kinds, a new zombie tuner, and more. Zombie videos coming really soon for you guys, by the way. We have a deck review for first place locals deck, that was Zombie Eldritch, and then we also have my own deck profile combo video and test stand. You already know it, always trying to hook you up with the spice. But yeah, the first card is Master Model Diploman, level 5 machine dark though. Level 5 machine, why do I love this so much? All it's missing is the 2100 attack, that's it. Yeah, or 2100 defense. Then it would have been revivable off of next year, but sadly not. This card is tribute summoned. You can target one monster in your graveyard and one face-up monster your opponent controls. Equip that monster from the graveyard to that opponent's monster. While a monster is equipped this way, it loses attack equal to that equipped monster's. Yeah, I feel like this, especially since it's a card printed in 2021, might have, it would have been like better if it actually had like a, I don't know, an effect to revive back something from the graveyard and then interrupt your, not interrupt, but still, obviously it would have been like way too good in Monarchs because every time someone reads Tribute Summoned, it's automatically like, ooh, Monarchs. But yeah, anyways, your opponent's monster is equipped with equipped cards you control cannot activate their effects. Alright, this is like a Baguska-esque Floodgate, which is cute, but definitely not super relevant. Alright, Slower Swallow. This is what they meant with the Lyrilusk support. So you can only special summon this card with its summoning condition once per turn. If there are two or more monsters with the same level on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. That's it. That's all inherent summon. It is not an activated effect, but nonetheless, it is still once per turn to summon it this way. And then you can tribute this card, and then for the next turn, instead of drawing one from your draw phase, you draw 2 cards. But the thing is, you don't want like future advantage in Yu-Gi-Oh! Generally. You want like instant advantage, because $10 right now is worth infinitely more than $10 in 5 years. It's kind of like also basic knowledge with basic common sense with like economics. So yeah, I don't know. This is definitely not something that I like too much. And then this effect, the fact that you need 2 or more monsters with the same level on the field, means that this would be summon number 3, and then you're under a lot of pressure to kind of play around that Nibiru. So it would have been better if it was just, if you control a level 1 Wind Beast monster on the field, you can special summon it for free. Then I feel like it would have been a staple in Lyrillus Tri-Brigade. But right now, at the moment, I'm not sure how easily and reliably and consistent this card really is to summon. So unfortunately, I'm not going to give it that great of a grade, but yeah. Anyways, Exoskeleton Dragon Galarm. So on top of having a pretty badass name, the artwork is amazing. Level 6 Earth Dragon Synchro Monster, generic summoning conditions, and then what, pretty weak stats for level 6 Synchro, but it's okay. Goyo Guardian, shockingly enough, on top of having a broken effect, well, back in the days, had a ridiculous attack stat of 28, which made no sense, because it was at a point where level 8 synchros, which were really hard to summon, were supposed to have that attack range, but for some reason a level 6 randomly had over 25, which is not supposed to be the case, but yeah. Anyways, you can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name once per turn each. Again, hard once per turn. You can tribute this card, then target 3 other synchro monsters in your graveyard, return them to the extra deck. That's like a worse Daigusto Emerald. I feel like it should have said that and then draw 1 card. It would have been amazing. You can target one of the monsters, one of your monsters special summon from the extra deck, equip this card from the graveyard to that target. Up until now, does nothing that generates you advantage or hurts the opponent. Alright, when a monster equipped with this card declares an attack, you can draw 1 card. See, this already could have been better. It could have said, when a monster equipped with this card battles, draw 1 card. So even if your opponent attacks you, you can still draw 1 card. And then you die, but it's okay because at least you refunded back your resources. But in such an extremely aggressive game, I feel like all of this commitment just to end up drawing 1 card is not enough, but I do understand that you absolutely do not need to special summon this card to use it, meaning that you could actually send this with Nadir Servant, Dragon Punishment, and then if you can summon a Synchro, well, every single time you summon a Synchro until the rest of the game, you can always equip, and then every time you attack, draw 1 card, which is a very nice concept. I like that. It's just not broken. So that's kind of like the one issue that I have, but I don't think it's a garbage card. I do think it's better than these 2 cards. But anyways, moving forward, we now have the Zombie Tuner. This card would have to be really good if we want some zombie support, because otherwise we're just gonna always stick with the exact same stuff. But the name is Messenger Spirit of the Fatal Eye, Psychopompos, level 2, Earth. Oh, okay, Earth. Naturia Beast shenanigans? Needle Fiber can summon this. Mizuki can summon this even without Zombie World. Zombie Tuner, obviously. 0/0, so El Mirage target. On top of that, if it has a good graveyard effect, you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. If this card is special summoned, that's it. You can apply this effect based on which of the following your opponent has more in the graveyard. So all of a sudden, this card has absolutely no relevance going first, because it would only trigger its effect when your opponent has stuff, but still. Monsters, banish this card, and if you do, your opponent banishes 1 monster from their graveyard, their choice. Man, it would have been nice if it was your choice. Spells and traps. Okay, well, I feel like this at least would actually happen quite often, so if this has a good effect, it's going to be great. Send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, your opponent sends 1 monster they control to the graveyard, their choice. So it doesn't target and it doesn't destroy, but again, it's their choice. So if you're using this when your opponent has Anaconda and Dragoon, they're just going to send the Anaconda away. So you have to time your stuff better in a way where you destroy the Anaconda, and then all they're left with is a card that they have to be forced to send, even though they really don't want to. But I feel like most of the time, this effect won't even be that devastating, and this does borderline nothing because they choose. So that kind of sucks. And then during the end phase, if this card was banished last turn, you can special summon this banished card. See, this is really interesting because it says if this card was banished last turn. It never said banished off of its first effect, this one. So even if it's just generically banished with like Gold Sark, it's still going to summon itself. And I can't really think of other generic waves of just banishing cards. Well, yeah, there's Gozuki, I guess. You can banish a zombie from your graveyard and then special summon a zombie from your hand. So that could be a way you can always get this card back every single turn. So it's not like it's not garbage, and there could be a way of special summoning this during your opponent's during your opponent's turn. So the first time they summon a monster, you instantly special summon them. Yeah, they special summon that they have more spells and traps in their grave, and then they have to summon the monster that they just summoned. So as a board-breaking card, this card is not good, but as a potential interrupt card, it could be nice. Now, how would you actually trigger this during your opponent's turn? I don't know yet, but I will try to figure out because this card could actually have a bit more potential than I'm giving it credit for. Anyways, moving forward, Margin Trade. You can only activate one card with this card's name once per turn. Your opponent can discard one card to negate this effect. Alright, unfortunately, this is enough to make the card unplayable. But anyways, let's still read the rest. Otherwise, both players look at their opponent's deck, and if they do, they choose one card from it, then they add the card chosen by their opponent to their hand. This would have been such a cool effect, kind of like on the level of Lullaby of Obedience, if it didn't have this stupid condition of your opponent can just still negate this card by discarding a card. And then that's it. You can't even use another one because it says negate this effect, not negate this activation, and this is you can only activate one card with this card's name once per turn. So if you draw multiple copies of this, you know for a fact that you have a 0% chance to resolve a single one. So this card is a solid 0 out of 10. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just not a good card. Alright, Assorted Monsters. You can only activate one card with this card's name once per turn. Kind of getting annoying, this condition every time, but yeah. Reveal one normal monster and one effect monster with the same type, attribute, and level from your deck. And if you do, your opponent randomly picks one for you to add to your hand. Also shuffle the other monster back into the deck. So the fact that it's at random gives you a 50-50 shot of actually getting a real good card, but there are a few issues. You have to reveal a normal monster and then an effect monster, and they all have to have the same type, attribute, and level. So already, I can't even think of that many decks that can play this outside of what, Blue Eyes? But searching Blue Eyes during your opponent's turn is not great. Metal Foes? No, I wouldn't play this in Metal Foes like ever. And for a trap card, this card is already slow. So I feel like this card probably should have been like a spell card. And just to make it a bit more fair, it should have maybe said like pay 2,000 and also you can only use instead of you can only activate. So if you draw multiples, it's dead. But no, I mean, this card is just bad for no reason. Do I think that this card could actually see play in the future? No, I don't think this card will ever see play because of the fact that it says randomly. So at best, you have a 50% chance of being able to draw a good card with constraints that hinder your deck building, or at worst, you just don't even make your money back since you're searching a card that has no extra added value in your hand, and you have to commit a full card to that. So you can just play good generic trap cards that either make your opponent go -2 or make yourself go +1 actually. So why the hell would you just RNG cards are not the way to go. But anyways, as the Master of Beast pleases, well, at least this card actually has a great artwork, but does it have a good effect? Well, we're gonna find out. Continuous trap card, you can only activate this effect of this card's name once per chain. Once per chain? Ooh, interesting. Unending Nightmare. Once per turn at the start of the damage step, if your monster battles an opponent's monster in the same column, you can return all cards in your battling monsters column to the hand. Ooh. There are some things I don't like about this, but there are some things I like. Well, first of all, they actually fixed the issue that I had with the Synchro monster before, because this card said when a monster equipped with this card declares an attack, and this specifically states if your monster battles. So even if your opponent attacks like on you, you can still actually use the effect to bounce back everything. And on top of that, well, obviously it doesn't target, it doesn't destroy, so that's just obviously a good mechanic. And also, it bounces back every card in the column, which could actually also bounce back your own cards, and that could be beneficial. meaning that, I don't know, what would be a good example? I don't know, continuous trap card, like the World Legacy trap card that on activation, well, I mean, honestly, this card is already just good in Mech Knights in general. Like Indigo Eclipse, Shifty Boy is one great way to play this. I would probably try to play this with Indigo Eclipse, because regardless of how your opponent is like smart, if they try to attack over your monster, well, they can't really play around the fact that Indigo can just move, and then obviously their monster is gonna get bounced back. So even if this is like public knowledge and it's face up on the field, the Indigo Eclipse is still going to be a threat, meaning that this card definitely has some very, very nice potential. And yeah, I mean, also, like I said, bouncing back your own trap cards so you can use them again, like Call of the Haunted, back to the Oasis of the Dragon Souls, just like Satellar Knights did back in the days, when they would go like Triver, return back everything, and then like set Call of the Haunted 10 billion times, revive, search. That's kind of like the same mechanic that I'm currently trying to think of. So yeah, I like this card. It's nice. I think it's gonna be a secret rare just because of the artwork, even though it's not like super broken. I don't think it's like a broken card whatsoever. I think it's like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10, but like, I'm very strict, so this is still like a decent grade. This is like a 3 out of 10. This is definitely a 0 because your opponent can negate. Anyways, this is a Link to Paparazzi Desperazzi, Link to Dark Fiend Link effect with 2 not really great arrows. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. When your other monster is targeted for an attack, you can change the attack target to this card and perform damage calculation. Okay, when this card you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's monster, destroy that opponent's monster, and if you do, gain life points equal to the attack it had on the field. It could actually be good in like really sketchy scenarios, but it has 100 attack. So your opponent can just attack with like a really weak monster first, and then like what's gonna happen? They lose like their garbage monster? Sure, I mean, I don't know, this doesn't really apply a lot of pressure, and again, remember that this is a Link 2. What else is a Link 2 that is 20 billion times better? Needle Fiber. Even Phoenix just has a better generic, just a better effect, honestly, generically speaking, but yeah. Anyways, this card, Staltern, could also potentially be secret rare. You're gonna find out why. First of all, it's a counter trap card. We rarely see counter traps in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're very rare, alongside like equip spells, ritual spells, and there's another one that's just like randomly rare, but yeah, counter traps are insanely rare. When a spell or trap card or monster effect, ooh, that's looking like an Omni-Negate, is activated, that would negate the summon of a monsters, or the activation of a spell or trap card. Banish the top 3 cards of your deck face down, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card. There's just one thing I don't like about this. It says negate the activation of a spell or trap card. I feel like it should have said like monster spell or trap card, because if you're using this going second, it's not gonna do anything, and going first, well, your opponent isn't negating you like anytime soon. So this is like an even more gimmicky version of Witch's Strike. I'm not a big fan, and also, why would you play this over Solemn Judgment? I don't get it. I don't think you want to clog your deck with like 9 counter traps, like 3 Judgment, 3 Strike, and 3 of this. Doesn't make too much sense. You might as well just play Anti-Spell, Imperial Order, stuff like that, but this is just not the way to go. Negate the summon of a monsters. We're gonna be completely honest with you, this never happens. The only thing that truly can happen is negating a spell or trap card. Honestly, I can see this happening. I think this card would have been like randomly good if it actually somewhat had an effect to activate itself from the hand, just like Red Reboot did. Red Reboot is a high impact card that activates itself from the hand, which is not fair, by the way. Explains why it's a one of, but yeah, I mean, this is just, it has nothing broken about it. It's just way too fair for no reason, and no, I can't see this having competitive viability. I can see, however, this card being tier 0 in the future, Jar of Generosity. It was just a matter of time before we would get another Generosity card. Normal trap card, at least it's not once per turn. Place 1 card from your hand on the top of or bottom of your deck. This card is great because I can finally put back my Gemnut Garnet on top of the deck, just so I can draw it with Upstart Goblin right after. Yeah, obviously this card sucks, but what were you expecting? On top of being a jar card, and jar cards are usually not good, they're like half of a pot, and on top of that, they're trap cards now, which is whack. Well, I mean, they've always been trap cards. Jar of Greed, Jar of Avarice, Jar of Generosity, And I mean, yeah, Generosity. You know, what the freak, man? Seriously, Pot of Generosity was like this, but like for 2 cards, and this is like for 1 card. So you would never want to play this, but I know for a fact that Konami is doing this, like these kind of cards, just for fun, just for the lols. Obviously, they're not going to put this as a secret rare. It would be disrespectful. Jar of Avarice, to a certain extent, made sense to put it as a secret rare because it did have a relevant effect. Shuffle back 5 cards from the graveyard into the deck, draw 1 card. So even though you weren't going +1 in terms of card advantage, you were going like break even, 1 for 1, you would at least be able to shuffle back random generic cards, whereas Pot of Avarice was 5 monsters. So the activation requirement was a bit more strict, and also it wasn't too great at shuffling back your spells and traps, so you would have a better grind game. But anyways, I can't see this having any form of usability. Stall turn, not great. This card, not fantastic. This card is nice with Mech Knight, so I'm definitely going to have to look into it. This card is not fantastic. No, maybe, also maybe, and then this is probably a no-no. So yeah, anyways, that's all I had to say and showcase for these new card support. If you guys have any comments or feedback, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it motivates me so much to keep making videos like these. That's pretty much shit. I fucked up. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. I ran out of you know it. But peace.